Hello and welcome to No Rest for the Weekend, where we go behind the scenes and talk to the creators of independent entertainment. I'm Jason Godbey, here with a recap of our No Rest for the Fest coverage of the 10th annual Soho International Film Festival. Lindsay, Aster, and I were on hand to talk to some of the filmmakers and stars of the fest. But first, I caught up with Executive Director and Head of Programming, Sibyl Santiago. She's been on the show before, so definitely check out her episode. But here's what she had to say opening weekend of the festival. Sibyl, how does it feel to be here, 10th anniversary? How's it going?
I think you kind of nailed it when you said no rest for the fest. But in all honesty, it's a really wonderful feeling to make it here to 10 years. As you can imagine, I don't have voice anymore. I'm in my sexy voice because it has been quite an intense few days. We're halfway point as of probably tonight. And it's been just really amazing. All the filmmakers that flew in here from all over the world, as far as Nigeria, from to Canada to the Philippines. I mean, it's just been really exciting and amazing because I am so proud that our festival has a very good record of attendance from filmmakers who are very proud to be part of it, which makes us very, very and extremely proud to be a festival for them to stage their films.
Tell me about some highlights that you've seen so far this weekend.
So far, we have our opening night film, like I mentioned, is actually very rarely that we pick a world feature to open the festival, and we did this year because this film was special. We thought it was special. It's a film from the Philippines called Empty by Design, and it's a group of Asian Americans, not just Filipino actors, but a group of Asian American actors, cast and crew come together as well as local crew to create this project that is based on the representation of an Asian American person, which is really quite nice of a story to tell and to be represented as you know, there's a big push right now to have that more in our business, that we just don't get enough content that shows the people that are actually around us in real life. And then we also had a short film called Burning Bright, which is also the opening short. It's very interesting because it is a short that was produced by IMG Models, and it's directed by Aaron Berman. And we had supermodel Chanel Iman that showed up here because she was the main lead, along with Elsa Hosk and Nolan Funk, which is a really beautiful film noir animated short. So it's a very eclectic mix, but the story is beautifully told through the graphics of the movie, and it's somewhat animated and at the same time a bit of a real likeness to them because it is them actually photographed in the film. So it's really good. And last night we had a couple of films that showed, and one of the biggest talk of the town, besides Richard Kind's film Auggie and Acquainted from Canada, we had this two special programs that came with it as well, which was this short film, so it's the film from Nigeria, which by Uduak, Jungle it's called, by Uduak, and it's just so intense because it tackles victims of the sex trafficking trade, but the narrative is almost interestingly in your face, but not, and enough to make you feel the depth of the pain that these people go through, but also usually you get this in documentaries, and we got it in a really well put together narrative for a short that this gentleman is his first time filmmaker, which is beautiful. The world famous photographer Platon did a documentary called My Body's Not a Weapon. He is just the man himself. He literally is the man, the myth, the legend when you meet him, because he speaks truly from a different place. You can tell it's sincere and it's from his heart, and that's how he photographs his subjects. And this documentary tackles the rape victims from the part of the Congo that it's almost somewhat forgotten. People know that this is what's happened there as I remember as a kid, I've read stories in the news about this, and it's still happening, but almost forgotten by the people because it's no longer in the front pages. So it's his way of sort of making sure that it gets back out there in the human side of it, where we get to know what is really happening over there. So it just gives you a range of the kind of films that we're getting this year at the festival. Like I said, having more films accepted, not because necessarily that they represent a certain group, but it just so happens that we accept films on merit, and it just shows you how spread out merit means in terms of how the film is put together.
So what do you see? What's the future? 10 years on, what do you guys want to do going forward?
Well, we are actually looking, we just launched this year the Soho Film Forum, which is our 501c3 nonprofit organization that's basically putting the festival together from here on. And with that, we're able to serve the filmmaking community in New York even more so, and hopefully in the country, with the help of the foundation or the organization if once we grow it, which is the goal right now. Trying to raise funds, of course, is always the difficult part in getting that grant, but we are working very hard to get that so we can serve. And we started doing some programs in this festival, sort of like little teasers of what's happening. Like we had free panels on distribution, which most filmmakers, need to kind of, especially we get a lot of new and first-time filmmakers that need to learn what that process is. And we had on that panel an entertainment lawyer, which a lot of new filmmakers don't realize how important it is to have an entertainment lawyer. So those kind of things we want to make sure that we can offer. And then, of course, we've also been able to offer blocks of tickets through the forum. So we have free tickets that we can give to certain screenings. And as a matter of fact, because just in general, New York is, can be a tough town. And we have some films that are, like the world films where they don't really know people in the area. Right. So what we've done is through the foundation or through the organization, we're able to give out free tickets to like our two beautiful French films that's showing this, this coming week. As a matter of fact, You Go to My Head by Dimitri de Klerk, just such a beautiful, beautiful film. And then we have the opposite, funny, because that one's dramatic. Then you have the really funny, silly kind of crazy film called Lobster's Way that is, shows you the backdrop of a theater company being put together, which if you really watch it, it's the same as production in film, basically. So and then you have the documentaries like Risk, where you have the women that on the front lines as photographers that go through the war zones and take this beautiful picture. So it's just it's so diverse, the program itself, and we have a great LGBTQ program this year. We have about, I think, 9 films that considering it's Pride Month, I love that. And we didn't even really, like I said, we program blind, we program by merit on what films we like. I'm losing my voice. and it's interesting because once we get the selections in front of us, we realize the ratio on what kinds of films actually on their own deserve to be there and how diverse it becomes, including the male to female ratio of filmmakers. We don't even count. There's no numbers. It's just there. It just shows you that it's an even number.
It's just good movies,
They're just good movies, exactly. And it shows you that if you actually watch a movie and just judge it for itself and its content and its story, and without really looking at like, oh, let's try to hit a number, you realize that everyone, it exists. The women filmmakers are out there. The diverse filmmakers are out there. It's like it's life. It's actually reality. So hopefully there'll be more efforts by other, festivals and studios to program, or TV networks to program shows based on the strength of the content and the story of a project, as opposed to just a friend or somebody you know. And it, of course,
it's hard for anybody, but I think the good thing about this film is it is so eclectic. So even if you don't like this, there's something for you as a viewer. And I think people should. I met somebody yesterday who was an indie film fan, and I was like, "Oh, you're not in the industry?" And she was like, "No, I just like watching." I was like, "Oh my God, you still exist! It's so great to see people who are just fans, because we don't see it that often."
There's a lot. That's how the festival survives. We actually have supporters out there that want to see good films, and I love knowing that it doesn't always have to do with money. It doesn't have to be a multi-million-dollar film for a film to be good.
It can just be a good story.
Exactly.
Sibyl, for those out there who want to find out more about the fest, or either contribute to the foundation, come to the fest, where can they find you guys on the web?
We are at www.sohofilmfest.com. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Soho Film Fest. But our main page is sohofilmfest.com, and the nonprofit is sohofilmforum.org.
One of the projects Sibyl mentioned is a film called In a Jungle. It's by director Uduak Idukudo. It's a film out of Africa, and it took home the award for Best Short. Our interview with him is available on our Facebook and YouTube pages, which will be linked on our website if you're watching this there. The winner for Best Feature was Auggie, directed by Matt Kane and starring Richard Kind and Simone Policano. Lindsay Aster was there to talk to the filmmakers on the red carpet.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Aster. I'm here with Matt Kane, Simone Policano, and Mark Underhill from the feature film Auggie, making its New York premiere tonight. How excited are you guys to be here tonight?
We're very excited, very grateful to be here.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about Auggie.
Auggie is a grounded sci-fi drama about a man who is forced into early retirement, and he's given a pair of augmented reality smart glasses that project the image of a companion before him. And he develops a relationship with this companion to the detriment of the relationship with his wife and his daughter, played by Simone here.
How was it to work with Richard Kind?
It was great working with Richard. Yeah, he came on board. He's the first actor we got on board the film, and he was very excited to get to work on something where he could carry the arc of the film and really work in a more subtle, nuanced way. And his work in the film is beautiful. We're really grateful for it. And he really elevates, I think, the project for all of us and everyone we cast. Honestly, Simone, Susan, Kristen, everyone was they gave such amazing performances that it really made my job as a director much easier, because I was more guiding them rather than trying to force them into a shape that they weren't already taking.
Simone, tell us a little bit about Grace.
So I play Grace, who is Richard Kind's daughter. And Grace is sort of in this period of her life where she's becoming more independent and maybe isn't as reliant on her dad and her family as she once was. And she's, moving in with her boyfriend and taking the next steps in life. And she maybe doesn't need him as much. And that becomes a thing that Felix, who Richard plays, has to kind of deal with. And what does it mean when your daughter is growing up and isn't as dependent on you? And how does, your child growing up and growing away from you affect you and your own sense of what your identity is? So she is a really important part of his journey, because it's like, what does he do with the fact that he might not be as needed by his family as much? And that kind of is part of what starts to send him towards, maybe away from his family and towards this new augmented companion that he finds.
Is there anything that you guys are hoping that people will take away from Auggie?
I think we're really trying to explore vulnerability and our relationship with technology for the most part. So we're kind of looking at someone who falls down the rabbit hole at a particularly vulnerable time in his life with this new technology, with this interaction with someone that he develops a relationship that he finds significant and meaningful. And as the story progresses, he realizes that maybe it isn't so meaningful, and the relationship with his wife and daughter really is crippled by his dependence on this new technology.
So what's next for Auggie?
Well, we were acquired by Samuel Goldwyn Films, who will be releasing the film rather soon. I think they're going to release that news exclusively with some publication, but that will be quite soon, and we're very excited to be released. It will have a small theatrical release as well as streaming, so we're delighted.
Congratulations. So where can we follow Auggie so that we're ready for the theatrical release?
All of our social media is at Auggie Movie, AUGGIE Movie.
My Body Is Not a Weapon took home the award for Best Documentary. It's by Platon, the world-renowned photographer now turned filmmaker. Lindsay Aster had a chance to speak with him on the red carpet, and here's what he had to say about his film.
Hi, I'm Lindsay Aster, and I'm here with Platon with the movie My Body Is Not a Weapon. Mm-hmm. So how excited are you to be here tonight?
I'm very humbled to be here. I've been taking portraits of the most powerful people in the world for 30 years. And so this is my first film, so I'm starting from scratch all over again. But the amazing thing is that I think it's time for all of us to use the tools that we all have, whatever they are, to drive positive change. And so this film is honoring the women and children who are survivors of sexual violence in the Congo. But it's also a sort of nod to everyone around the world that this is not a distant problem, to respect women's rights, to respect human rights. It bonds us, and it helps us focus on what we have in common rather than what divides us. So we need all hands on decks. I'm just a storyteller, so I'm just using the tools that I have. Somebody else might have something else that's much better than me. So I ask everyone to just try and do their bit, and it's a good feeling. I've got a good feeling in my heart because I know I'm right, and I'm part of a movement that makes me so inspired. I'm useful. Hopefully I'm useful.
Well, that sounds like a movement I can get behind. Tell us what's next for the movie.
Well, we want it to reach as many people as possible. So, a festival like this is really important to us because it's building a groundswell. And so I believe in ordinary people. People power is what always drives history. So I've dealt with the people at the top, but I'm really inspired by the people who've been robbed of power, and yet they show resilience, courage, compassion for each other and towards us. So it's our moral duty to get behind, support the movement, and actually be part of something extraordinary. It's a good feeling. So I want this film to reach as many people because I made a promise to the women and children in the film that I would deliver their voices and their messages. So I'm working for them with great humility and with great pride. And I'm not standing in front of them, I'm standing with them. So I'm using the few things that I have to amplify voices and reach people, not in an accusatory way. I don't want to make anyone feel guilty. I don't want to make anyone feel depressed. I want people to be inspired and uplifted about the resilience of humanity. And I know we're going to do it.
Wow, that is a powerful message. How can we keep up to date with what's happening with the movie? Can we find you on the web?
Yeah, I have a foundation called the People's Portfolio, and we produced this movie. So, find us, the People's Portfolio. My Body is Not a Weapon is the name of the film. It doesn't come from me, the title. It comes from a young woman who wrote a beautiful poem and a song. And she's basically saying, I refuse to allow my body to be used as a weapon of intimidation. This stops here. And that is an extraordinarily powerful message. So I'm all about it. Just get behind it. We need your help. We're not invincible. We need numbers, strength in numbers. But I guarantee anyone who's part of this movement is going to feel good about being part of something extraordinary. So especially men needs to get behind the idea of championing women's rights. It's not something we need to stand by and just awkwardly watch how this thing plays out. We've got to play a role, but we've got to be humble in the role we play and make sure that we are standing with the movement, not in front of it.
Some of the other award winners included the feature In a New York Minute, the short series pilot Unspeakable, and the feature Empty by Design. Again, you can catch those interviews on our Facebook and YouTube pages. They'll be linked on the website as well. The winner of the Audience Award for Best Feature went to Misty Button, a very Irish comedy set here in New York. Lindsay Aster was there to speak to the director and a couple of the stars on the film on the red carpet.
Hi, it's Lindsay Aster with No Rest for the Weekend's coverage of the Soho International Film Festival. I am here with Seanie Sugrue, Victoria Meade, and Cillian O'Sullivan from the movie Misty Button. So how excited are you guys to be at Soho?
Really excited. We shot the film in New York, so it's like a home crowd for us. Really, we actually shot several scenes within a 4-block radius of here, of this theater, so it's really exciting to be back.
That's so fun. That's so fun to be back here. What a great
it's like a homecoming, yeah.
And you guys have a huge crowd of people here. That's incredible.
We do. Pretty much everyone involved in the film, except maybe 1 or 2 people, were from New York City or New Jersey. So we have a lot of home crowd support. So yeah, we've got a nice crowd here, good atmosphere. So yeah, it's great to be here.
Nice. So tell us a little bit about Misty Button.
Misty Button is a film set up in Woodlawn in the Bronx. It's an Irish stronghold. It's very Irish, as we all know.
It is Ireland.
It is Ireland, yeah. We call it the 33rd county. There's 32 counties in Ireland, so we call that the 33rd counties. You can buy local newspapers there and whatnot. So I lived there myself in 2005, so the whole film takes place there. And every Irish person that moves to New York lives there at some part of their existence in America.
I avoided it, but only because of the stories.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty lawless. So the film's set there. It's about 2 Irish guys. Cillian plays the lead called James, and they are asked to put a bet on a racehorse. And the racehorse is 35-1. And they end up getting drunk and not putting the bet on. And so they end up owing the mob a ton of money. So it's like a buddy dark comedy. You know? Mm-hmm.
Victoria and Cillian, can you tell us about your characters?
Yes, I play a character called Ruby, who's an adorable psychopath, basically. and I'll just say that, I think. That pretty much sums it up. There's some stuff that would give it away that I don't want to give away. So
I mean, that absolutely nails it.
That pretty
on the
much
head.
nails it, I think. Yeah.
James is a plank of wood with a drinking problem who talks all about his ambitions but does... I can't curse, can I? Does heck all about it.
So nice of you to ask.
There's a lot of talking. Feck all. But that's still a curse though, right? Technically. My mother slapped the head off me if I said feck just as much as if I said fuck. Oh.
So what's next for Misty Button? Do you have any distribution plans?
We're still in early days. We met our world premiere in California last March, and now we're making our East Coast premiere today. So we met our world premiere actually on St. Patrick's Day, which is very fitting. So we're thinking next March, St. Patrick's Day, we'll release the film commercially. So we're just riding the festival circle until then, and then negotiating with some distribution companies. So that's where we're at right now.
Ireland, if you're listening and you don't distribute in the hometown, you're mental. Okay?
Get Auggie on the phone immediately.
I mean, listen, it's full Irish humour. New York gets it. LA got it. Ireland would lap it up. Buy it! Buy Misty Button, for feck's sake.
Where can we follow the movie on the web?
You can go to our Facebook and Instagram page, simply Misty Button. Button singular, not plural. And then our website is also www.lockedintheatticproductions.com.
Thank you for taking this trip down the rabbit hole. For more episodes of this show, you can always find them on our website, norestfortheweekendpodcast.com. You can also subscribe on all the major podcast channels. And now we're on Patreon. So we have a Patreon at patreon.com/norestfortheweekend. I'd like to thank Lindsay, Aster, as well as all the filmmakers, creators, and stars for coming to chat with us. And, of course, a big thank you to Sibyl Santiago for having us once again. For Behind the Rabbit Productions, I'm Jason Godbey. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.